There is a big ceremony here. The two leaders who guide the world from top and bottom, and who manage the huge economy of our planet, are here together. The two countries account for 43% of the world's GDP and control 50% of global military spending. These powerful nations have combined armed forces of nearly 3.4 million soldiers. Yet Beijing appeared unusually tense and cautious. A journalist who said she heard the words exchanged during the handshake between the two leaders reported what President Trump said. "You're a great man. I will tell everyone that." She, however, reportedly remained silent, whether smiling or upset. The term superpowers is correctly used for these two countries. Indeed, nations that alone control 43% of the world economy deserve to be called powerful. Notice this number carefully. The economies of 19 countries combined account for only 57% of the global economy. China and America alone hold 43%. China and America also possess 20% of the world's military forces, making the label superpower appropriate from the perspective of world population. The citizens of the two countries together make up only 1/5 of humanity. The news headline reads, "The first and second most powerful leaders on earth meet face to face." Indeed, Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, the two leaders who only months earlier shook global business politics through tariff wars and economic rivalry, have now met in person. Their meeting in Beijing and their appearance together became a major topic of discussion throughout the month. President Trump, who is known for viewing everything through a business lens and calling every issue a deal, had a highly symbolic visit to China. Two issues stand out here. On one side, the relationship between America and China. On the other, the personal relationship between Trump and Xi. To many observers, the relationship between the United States and China appears full of tension, conflict, and the possibility of confrontation, but when examined closely, each depends heavily on the other. One cannot function effectively without the other. This reality, measured in trillions of dollars, explains why American presidents travel to Beijing and Chinese leaders visit America. China and America have built an economic system connected like eyes and a nose. Still, the relationship between Trump and China appears somewhat unique. The White House leader often says, "He respects me and likes me. He is a friend of America." Trump also says that she addresses him respectfully as Mr. President. Critics repeatedly claim that she personally likes Trump during a large state banquet. While the Chinese president discussed relations between the two countries and the global political order, it reportedly seemed to Trump that everything was personal, according to Al Jazeera's reporter at the scene. She stated, "When America and China cooperate, both benefit. When they clash, both suffer." Trump responded, "You and I understand each other better than anyone else," he added. "Although America and China have had relations for a long time, no American president has ever had a friendship with you like mine." Observers saw Trump trying to personalize the relationship. To explain the closeness between himself and the Chinese leader, Trump used many words: "You call me, and I call you. We are friends." He even added, "It is an honor for me to be your friend." The Chinese president's response, however, was more controlled and less emotional. Rather than focusing on "you and me," she preferred speaking about America and China and emphasized the benefits of cooperation between the two countries. Previously, she had used the phrase "my best friend" for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump appeared to hope for the same phrase from Xi, but he did not receive the response he wanted. May 14, 2026, 8:19 p.m. Ella. Trump often likes to say that Xi and Putin respect and admire him, although he seemed eager to demonstrate this publicly. The welcome he received emphasized national friendship rather than personal closeness. The main point, however, remained clear in both leaders' speeches. Trump tried to reduce the relationship between the two superpowers to the level of to individuals. CNN analyst Roberts argued that Trump's desire was mainly to gain favor in front of the Chinese leader. And, as critics noted, Trump was neither the first American president to fly to Beijing, nor likely the last. Since the historic 1970 to visit by Richard Nixon, often called the week that changed the world, many American presidents have visited China. After Nixon came Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. Former U.S. President Barack Obama also visited China 3 times during his presidency, making him a record holder in that regard. In particular, his visits in 2014 and 2016 helped the two countries reach joint agreements on climate change. President Donald Trump first visited China in 2017 during his first presidential term. Now, after 9 years, he has returned again during this trip, which critics say was designed to present international relations as personal friendship. Trump traveled with executives from 12 major companies together. They represented corporations worth more than $1 trillion in capital before Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump, who promised to improve profitability and comfort for American corporations, traveled to the Far East with business leaders such as Tim Cook and Elon Musk. Beyond Trump's personal interests and rhetoric, however, another diplomatic reality exists. Behind the champagne, ceremonial smiles, and grand red carpet reception lies a hard truth between Washington and Beijing. America and China now stand on different paths regarding the direction they want the world to follow. America, under Trump, appears increasingly willing to step away from the world order it created and dominated for the past 80 years. China, on the other hand, is trying to preserve and continue the existing international system, the global political, economic, and military structure that made America a superpower after World War II is now being challenged by Trump himself through tariff wars and economic confrontation against China. Ironically, the liberal world order created by America also greatly benefited China. That same system helped transform China into the world's second largest power. China is now trying both to protect that system and defend it against Trump's attacks from afar. Beijing and Washington may appear like enemies, but in reality they are deeply interconnected, almost like a hand and glove, even when they publicly disagree in institutions like the United Nations Security Council. Their economies remain closely tied. The billionaire American business leaders who accompanied Trump to China are evidence of this relationship, yet there is also a political flashpoint capable of turning tension into crisis. During a state dinner, observers noted that Xi Jinping became noticeably more forceful when discussing Taiwan. It was reported that while speaking about American involvement with Taiwan, she looked directly into Trump's eyes. The relationship between America and China resembles a macchiato coffee, neither fully black nor fully white, but a complicated mixture. One major question remains: are China and America truly rivals, or are they partners? Even while Trump publicly spoke warmly about Xi, much of his political rhetoric has continued to criticize China. During the 2016 election campaign, Trump declared, "We will no longer allow China to rob our country." In 2020, he again accused China of stealing from America, winning applause from supporters. He also described COVID-19 as the China virus, claiming it had devastated America and the world. Before returning to office, Trump promised China would pay a price. After returning to the White House, he launched major tariff policies targeting Chinese imports, escalating the economic conflict between the two countries. No two countries in the world talk about each other as much as America and China do. American political scientist Ian Bremmer argued in his book, Superpower, that many Americans working abroad are employed in China. Indeed, around 110,000 Americans live and work in China, more than in almost any other foreign country. China exports approximately $440 billion worth of goods to the American market. Meanwhile, America exports about $145 billion worth of products to China. The resulting trade deficit became one of Trump's main justifications for imposing tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese goods. China responded with tariffs of its own, reportedly reaching 125%. Eventually, Trump appeared to soften his position after American corporations complained about the damage caused by the tariff war. Today, many major American companies are again looking toward Beijing and the Chinese market for expansion opportunities. Figures such as Jensen Huang and Elon Musk were seen arriving in Beijing aboard Air Force One with Trump. Despite frequent discussion of superpower rivalry, America and China have never entered direct military conflict in modern times, although tensions and ideological differences have strained relations over the decades. Their relationship has remained largely stable. Still, the two countries rarely share the same geopolitical position on global issues. For example, America imposed sanctions on North Korea while China remained one of its largest trading partners. America confronted Iran in the Middle East, while China avoided military involvement and instead promoted diplomacy and reconstruction after conflicts in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Syria. Chinese companies often moved into reconstruction and investment projects. China also expanded its Belt and Road Initiative into countries such as Syria. Today, China manufactures roughly one-third of the world's goods and processes more than 90% of many rare earth minerals. Much of the world's solar panels, wind turbines, and electric vehicles are also produced there. Washington often accuses Beijing of benefiting economically from a global system protected militarily by America. At home, China remains politically socialist while operating aggressively within global capitalism. Its economic rise was made possible partly by participation in the liberal international system built by America, access to American technology, and access to American markets after World War II. When America established the modern liberal world order, China lacked the economic power to challenge it, but over time, China used that same system to expand trade routes, cooperate with countries large and small, and eventually rise from poverty into one of the world's wealthiest nations. Trump's return to power, however, signaled a desire to dismantle parts of that international system. His administration withdrew America from multiple international organizations, arguing that China unfairly benefited from institutions funded largely by the United States. China, meanwhile, has increasingly positioned itself as a defender of multilateral institutions and international cooperation, while Trump pressured allies and competitors alike. China strengthened relations with Europe and Canada. According to analyst Michael Schumann, Beijing's goal is not necessarily to replace America as ruler of the world, but rather to reduce American dominance and create a more multipolar global order where competition and cooperation coexist. Major ongoing sources of tension between the two countries remain Iran and Taiwan. China imports oil from Iran and maintains strategic cooperation with Tehran. For that reason, American military action against Iran does not benefit Beijing. Reports also suggested that during Trump's Beijing visit, Washington requested China's help in bringing Iran toward negotiations and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Chinese officials reportedly expect something in return: reduced American involvement in Taiwan. China considers Taiwan part of its territory, while Taiwan views itself as a sovereign nation. America supports Taiwan politically and militarily, often under the justification of defending democracy and regional security. Xi Jinping reportedly demanded that America stop interfering in what China calls its internal affairs. Thus, while Trump worries about Iran, Hormuz, and rising tensions, she remains angered by continued American involvement with Taiwan. BBC journalist Laura Bicker summarized the situation this way: Trump received a grand and glamorous welcome in China, but the difficult and complex problems still remain on the table. With that, the program concluded by wishing peace and goodwill to all.